Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August 2023 edition of the StackRox community meeting. I'm the StackRox co-chair, Michael Foster. I'm joined by my other co-chair, Matthias Mettinger. Sorry for the 2-week delay. We had a little summer vacation, but we're back. We have a couple quick topics, including the 4.2 release that's coming up, a patch release, 4.1.3, that came out yesterday, I believe, Matthias.
Yesterday or today, depending on the time zone.
Okay, depending on the time zone, it's very recent, so we'll update you on that. And then I mentioned this in the last meeting, but the ACS roadmap has been updated. So get your notes in, take a look at what we're working on over the next year, and let us know what you think. If something's missing on the roadmap, we would love to hear from you. But yeah, that was the first agenda point. Just the ACS roadmap is there in the notes. I'll post it again in the channel for those who missed it. Lot of updates come in the next year, and typically we update the roadmap every 6 months, so stay tuned for January update. Again, if there's something that's missed, please let us know in the issues or in the Slack channel, because I will try to get that in the roadmap and get the PMs taking a look at it. On the next item on the agenda is the 4.1.3 patch release. Matthias, I was hoping you'd give us a little color on that one. Take it away.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'm also actually, I think a lot of people in engineering are also looking forward to what's coming on the roadmap, because there are actually really exciting topics to tackle. So at least I am very, very happy and looking forward to what's coming up soon, hopefully.
Sweet.
And that said, with the 4.1.3 patch release, we actually had to do some backports and smaller error corrections. So if you're running on the latest version, you should be good to go. As always, we recommend updating even to the latest patch version. But on the other hand, as far as I'm aware of, there are no critical CVEs or security flaws that we closed with the patch release. So do as you like, and as always, please be sensible and try to stay on top of things. That said, we are also entering code freeze tomorrow for 4.2. That's why I was a little bit open with the patch release, because we are expecting to release 4.2 in early to mid September. So not too much longer until the next version. This one will also have some nice highlights. So for example, if you're using OpenShift or the Open Container Platform, you will be delighted to see that we are integrating with the native OpenShift monitoring. So it is now enabled, or will be enabled by default for new installations. There is also a single switch that you can set to flip that completely off. There is also a single switch that you can actually set to toggle that completely off. As always, take a look in our release patch notes and changelog to actually have some more details on that. And continuing with the highlights, there are improvements to image repository handling, so image enrichment and reaching out to image repositories, which has been an area where we received a lot of feedback in the past. So look forward to that. Improvements are coming, especially in terms of handling of mirroring of repositories. That's gonna improve a lot. And finally, there is, as eBPF or core BPF is one of the most interesting topics in recent times, we can also say that with 4.2, the core BPF collection method that we use to actually collect information about containers will be GA, and as far as I'm aware of, will even be the new standard collection method, which is super nice.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that moving forward. And kernel module has been deprecated and I believe removed as of now. So it is not an option. Correct my understanding? I believe with the patch release, it was removed completely. So we're using eBPF, and then in the future, core BPF, which will definitely help on engineering time. For context, core BPF is a single standard of eBPF monitoring across all the Linux distributions, right? Which makes upgrading and maintaining a lot easier across Linux, correct?
Yeah. So where in the past we had to basically build monitoring for each kernel that we supported by hand or custom compiling with automation, obviously, but still had to set that up, everything. We can nowadays we can basically support any distro that supports core BPF, which makes our life a lot easier. It cuts down on the maintenance and also makes it just in generally very quick to support new or different distros.
Awesome. And then the last note that we have here, as always, if you're using StackRox open source, it is best effort support from engineers. So we love that you're in the Slack channel messaging us, opening up issues. We get to it when we can, especially when we're not on vacation, right, Matthias? For those who are paying for ACS, the paid version, there will be, as of 4.3, there will be no support for rollback release to 4.0 and 3.y releases. This is in standard with our typical support matrix. We normally only maintain 3 releases, and I believe that's up to 9 months to a year of coverage, Matthias. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, we're roughly doing we're roughly releasing a new minor version every 3 months. So that adds up to 9 months of support. And the important thing to note here is, additionally, this is also a technical restriction. So if you upgrade to 4.3, there is no way of going back to 4.0 or 3. anything. So there are changes in the way our database works, as far as I'm aware of. So there is definitely also technical reasons besides the enterprise support reasons that we usually have as well.
Hmm. Good to note. 4.3 is a little ways away. Just want to give you the early warning. So yes. Again, everything's in the notes and it's linked in the Slack channel if you want to find them. On to the questions. I know that we've been away, so I've been getting Slack notifications on vacation. I had to turn them off. I've been a little slow in responding, but we wanted to get to some of these questions here. Brandon Helms, first question, random question. Is KubeLinter supported or is there a better replacement? I saw that Neil was in the chat saying that there are other configuration management tools around. KubeLinter is open source best effort supported. I know that some fixes we got put up in May. Depending on the issues, there are open contributions from other companies and people that help. Any other thoughts on what the term supported here means, Matthias?
So we have a small team of people that are really dedicated working on KubeLinter. Unfortunately, it is kind of a hard sell in its current form to prioritization, or in terms of prioritization. So we have people that are interested to work on it, but it's sometimes hard to have it prioritized highly enough against features that are, for example, on the roadmap. So it is still supported. Yes, nowadays there are options and alternatives, which is a good thing. So if you have, so as you said, there are other products, other companies, and but on the other hand, we also get external contributions on it. So it's definitely not dead. Currently, it's more running on a best effort support, but there might be changes incoming sometime in the future because there are discussions behind the scenes whether we could restructure and reorganize some other things around that would make supporting KubeLinter a little bit easier. But that's all just talk until now. So with the current information, with the current state of things, I would say it's still supported. It's a best effort. And yes, nowadays there are options available.
Cool. And then Dane has, are there any plans to report on / detect running eBPF programs? Anything a la Aqua Tracy? Now, I did a quick research on Aqua's Tracy eBPF collection, and it's very similar to our eBPF collection runtime agent. I'm not even sure if I'm using the proper vernacular there, but Matthias, you want to just give me a quick rundown on our eBPF module?
So as far as I understand, Aqua Tracy and our collector are quite similar. I have to say that I've never worked on our actual collector eBPF code, and also I've only given Aqua Tracy a skim read. So, Dane, if you are interested in going a little bit deeper on that, please let us know, ideally in the Slack channel. Then I can connect you with the right people, be it our collector team that actually works on the eBPF thing, or with one of our PMs that I may be able to ask nicely to join the discussion. Let's see. But right now, as far as I understand, our eBPF collection and Aqua Tracy eBPF collection seem to be quite similar.
Mm. All right, on to Unikrishnan. I hope I'm saying that properly. Does StackRox list SBOMs, software bill of materials, for images in a cluster? And correct me if I'm wrong. Short answer right now, no, but that's in the roadmap. The big question is, if we bring in SBOMs, we have to make sure who's maintaining them. It's verified, that it's not just somebody uploading a PDF onto their GitHub and then we're importing it, and that doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of operations around how SBOMs are created. So how to take, ingest them, and actually pair them up with, runtime, configuration management, all of those details from StackRox is something that we are always deliberating on and trying to, let's say, not mislead you. Just because there's an SBOM there doesn't mean that it's secure. It's just another piece of security information. And so we also don't want you to get overwhelmed when you go into the UI and you see SBOMs and runtime and configuration details. How to do that in a simple and effective way is something that we're debating currently, I think, internally. But yes, it is on the roadmap. Again, check out the video on YouTube for more information, Krishnan, and you can message in the Slack if you want anything specific. I can get the PMs to answer. I think this one I'm going to leave. Oh, actually, I kind of know this topic. Oliver B asks, the reporting topic CVE reports is on the roadmap. Would be great to get some info about the plan here. In 4.0, and I think 3.4 or something, we introduced collections as a grouping in ACS. And this is mostly around notifiers and reports. So being able to say, hey, all of these deployments, all of these images are associated with the monitoring team or a certain team internally. And being able to expand on that reporting into CVEs and workloads is the next step. I believe an update's coming in 4.2. Don't quote me on that, but the CVE workloads is in tech preview as of 4.1. So worth checking out. And then when the reporting comes in, you're able to go and say, I want these deployments, these images with these vulnerabilities, and I want them all to be sent in a weekly report to this group that I've defined in a collection. And so once those collections are made and set, it's pretty easy for onboarding and bringing new people in. Let's say you have a security team and somebody leaves the team, somebody new comes in, they always get the same reports every week about the vulnerabilities, and then you can correlate the changes over time. If a new release of OpenShift comes out and you're looking at how Red Hat's doing their work, you can go and correlate 4.11 with 4.12 with 4.13, etc. And that's going to be hopefully easier than ever. Anything I missed, Matthias?
I would even say you mentioned the core mechanic that's behind all this, which is collections. So with collections, we introduced a new way of organizing our data and giving users the option to tailor their search experience in many different places. Most of these places we have already visited or are visiting right now. So basically, we now have a big, nice engine that has all these super nice capabilities, and we're updating the UI, and not only the UI, but also we're basically partnering the UI update with new user experiences and revamping of the whole UI to actually expose all of these new possibilities in all the areas that we can. So there's a lot more to come. There are a lot more interesting changes, and StackRox, or ACS, is about to get a whole lot more flexible, especially in terms of tailoring your search results in many different places. So one of them is CVE reports, and that's also, as you said, I think in feature preview right now.
Mm-hmm. And last question, Oliver B again. Hi there. Can you confirm that the annotation key for recipients in the SMTP integration is only usable for policy notifications? I also tried to use it for scheduled CVE reports, but it didn't work. That's a great question, and one that I tried to dig up for 15 minutes before. There's a little bubble, but the fact that it wasn't very easy for me to figure out. I'm going to go open up an issue with some of the engineers and get a proper answer for you. Maybe if we can clarify that in the description as well, would be useful. So I'll respond to that in the chat when I have a good answer for you. Thanks again for everybody who's been posting. I know it's been, 6 weeks since our last community meeting, so it's been a little long. But we try to get to the questions when we can. Matthias, any final words before we wrap this up? Releases, summer vacations, anything you want to touch on before we go?
I don't think that I have anything to touch on, but as always, folks, we are available to chat with you either through GitHub issues or the Slack channel. If there's anything we can help you with, just let us know. And with that said, we are returning to our regular schedule. So after we move this meeting a little bit further to the back, that also means we will be seeing all each other in roughly 2 or 3 weeks time. So basically we're returning to the regular schedule of the second Tuesday of the month. So with that said, thank you all for watching. Thank you for asking the questions. Keep them coming. And as always, take care and see you next month.
Take care. See you September 12th. Bye, everyone. All right. Sorry, I'm going to cut everything out.
Yeah.
I always just like to have a little bit of pause before we start, because then when I upload the video, I can see exactly when we started and ended. So it's like two quick cuts. I need one of those action things. I didn't say anything technically wrong, right?
No, I don't think so. I think the only thing is with the rollback to the release, I wanted to announce it because it is actually a technical reason and not a support contracty reason. But both of these things are actually important information and worth repeating from time to time.
Yeah, it's especially a breaking change. It's basically like if you update, you cannot roll back ever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I mean, it's rollback from 4.3 to 4.0. So if you are running 4.0 right now and then 4.3 comes out 9 months or even longer, or almost longer after 4.0,
yeah,
and then directly update to 4.3, that would be not the best. But I don't think we even support that out of the box, skipping multiple versions.
No, and that's the thing is if you're at 4.0 and 4.3 gets released, like you're out of the support policy. So most Red Hatters would have updated by then anyways. Most people that are paying for the product. I'm assuming that's why whatever changes we made, we waited till 4.3 to do it. It's because of that support policy.
I mean, not necessarily. What we usually do is we announce these things 1 to 2 releases beforehand basically in line with our support policy of, hey, we're not doing quick changes. We're doing what's Red Hat calling it day one operations. So we're trying to be a little bit more stable. So that means any breaking change needs to be announced, ideally 2 releases before it happens.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
All right. So for Oliver, for the question about the annotation key for recipients, you want to open an issue and then keep track of it?
Yeah, I'll open a Jira ticket, Jira issue.
Cool.
You want me to do it internally, or do you want me to do it publicly in the GitHub repo?
We might. I mean, we could do in.
I'm going to take a screenshot of this and I'm going to post in the ACS chat specifically and tag the PMs and just say, what's the deal with this one? Because if nobody can give me an answer for it, then it's obviously not clear enough as to what the use is.
Yeah. Yeah. Take a screenshot of the help text and then basically ask the PMs what the hey this thing is doing.
Yeah, and in just the general ACS, like with Chris Porter and Eric Bannon there, because if they don't know, if the PMs don't know, it's like, what is this?
Okay, let me do a very dumb thing. Let's do RTFM. Let's see if we actually have documented that in our online docs. So what's it called? Where is it? Annotation key. So if I search for annotation
in the email integration,
annotation key. So 4.1. So Annotation key. You can define an audience. Does not. Oh. Yeah, okay. So we have documentation on it, and the documentation is almost as crappy as the help text. So it gives a little bit more answers, but I think the right thing to do would still, or the right litmus test would still be, let's ask in the general chat and let's ask the PMs if anyone can explain the help text, and then maybe still have a UI ticket to update the help text.
I kind of get it. I think find audience and email sent to the audience who's defining the key. Oh, I get it. So if you have an annotation and it's like recipient email is this email, StackRox will just go and grab that email, I think. The audience that's defined by the key. Like there's something where like an annotation will define the email. And so if the key is there, StackRox just sends it to that email. That's what I'm reading.
I understand it as you define an annotation, for example, let's say DevOps. And then you set up an email audience notifier thing that you say that's the DevOps mailing list. And then you say this DevOps mailing list notifier will be matching with the annotation DevOps. So then when an alert comes up, it checks the annotations, sees the DevOps thing, and then triggers the audience specific email.
I see. So look at just right underneath. It says configuring the email plugin. So it shows you how to configure the annotation. It's not like any annotation. It has to be specific for ACS to pick it up.
Oh, okay. So it's dynamic emails. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean that's a cool feature, but that's such a cool feature and such crappy documentation for it.
Because the annoying thing is like at the top it says integration name. So it's like, you want an email, then it says document the email server, enable us all. And then when you get to the bottom, it's like, okay, well, do you have an annotation key? Well, does that email override the email above? Like if I put a different email above and then it picks up the annotation key, is that the email that it's using? Do you know what I mean?
If no annotation key exists, if no annotation keys exist, an email is sent to the default recipient that is defined in the integration. So this is the default recipient, and then it looks in the namespace. Yeah, in the namespace and in the deployment.
It's like the annotation key, I feel like should be at the top to be like, do you want to use an annotation key? Email. If the answer is no, then it just defaults to like, okay, input all the stuff. If the annotation key is yes, well, then you just define the annotation, define the namespace that has the annotation.
Yeah, but you always want a fallback email.
Yeah.
You never want an empty one, especially with dynamics. So it's especially because the annotations are a user controllable field, right? So which also means this opens the door for a lot of abuse, technically, and data extraction. Oh geez. Yeah, the more I think about it, that it's a cool idea, but do we really want to give users full control over where to send potentially very detailed and very confidential emails to? So imagine an attacker gets gets control over annotations.
Mm-hmm.
They could basically get complete information about a deployment or even a namespace.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's a possible information disclosure, I see. But I mean, besides that, it's kind of an interesting thing, but still shitty documentation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. You really have to understand Kubernetes too, to like if you're a security team coming in, you're like, how do I configure email reports and CVEs? Like, wait, annotations, what? I mean, I guess it's easy because then you don't really have to do much work for the integration. It's just like, just pick up this annotation and go. But Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a weird one. And honestly, what I'm a little bit more surprised about is that this documentation passed our writers check and review, because I don't find it very intuitive, and the
No.
rest of it I actually think is rather intuitive.
Hmm. Yeah, like configuring the email plugin makes sense.
Yeah,
Like once you scroll down and it's like configuring the email plugin, navigate, select new integration, do all this stuff. But it's kind of funny that to use the annotation to dynamically determine an email recipient. Yeah, like that's the first one, right? So that's what I was saying is if you actually look at when you join the web page, it wants all the information first, then to dynamically do it. But then when you do the documentation, it's like do it dynamically and then fill all the stuff out.
yeah,
It's like a little mismatched. But anyways, I gotta run. I gotta go eat. I know you probably have dinner. You gonna run
yeah,
to?
yeah. I have to. I'm starving already.
But it
Honestly,
was
since I picked climbing, I'm a rolling ball of hunger. It's horrible.
yeah, it's a lot of work. How are the forearms? You getting like the grip strength's getting up?
Actually, it's getting pretty impressive
Yeah.
for what I'm doing usually. So
Yeah, it's probably good because you get like you're sitting like this. It's good to work out the arms and get extended and get those
actually, my
muscles
back
stretched
has
out.
never been better. So back's not hurting anymore because climbing is a lot of core muscles.
Yeah,
But
crazy.
but the other thing is now I have the luxury problem of my knees are actually complaining about all the sports that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's no
We're getting
problem at
old.
all.
We're getting old.
Yeah, all the creaky, right?
Yeah.
All
Anyways, it was good
right.
to see you and yeah, enjoy dinner.
Yeah, you too.
Otherwise, you know where to find me.
Yeah, all right. Then see you in 2 weeks, the latest, I guess. Or
Yeah.
three? Yeah,
Two,
two and a
three,
half.
something like that. Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah. Take care, Matthias.
Take care. Bye.